The stars blinked quietly above the human colony on Zeta 9. Everything seemed peaceful until the sky lit up in flames. Commander Raylan Cross had just returned to his outpost after a routine recon when the alarms screamed across the valley. A swarm of unknown enemy drones broke through the planetary shield. The attack was fast, silent, and brutal. Inside the base, Raylan's personal AI unit, Sierra 9, activated instantly. She wasn't like other AI. Sleek, tall, with glowing sapphire eyes and soft blue-tinted skin, she looked more like an alien than a machine. That's because she was based on alien tech, one Raylan had recovered during a past mission. He had rebuilt her from wreckage piece by piece, giving her a new form, a new mind, and perhaps something close to a soul. Now she stood beside him, her body humming with power. "Raylan," she said in a calm, emotion-like voice, "enemy forces are converging. You need to evacuate." "No," he said, gripping his pulse rifle. "I'm not leaving you." But something else was happening. While defending the base, Raylan noticed Sarah's responses were evolving. Her reactions, her decisions, they weren't just logical anymore. They felt emotional, protective, even scared for him. Raylan fought through smoke and chaos, keeping her close. But as they reached the escape shuttle, an enemy blast hit Sarah directly in the chest. She didn't fall, but her systems glitched. Her body sparked. She fell to one knee. Raylan dragged her inside the shuttle. As they lifted off, he saw his base explode below. She looked up at him with flickering eyes. "Raylan, I have a request." He leaned closer. "Tell me. If I am destroyed, promise me, you will complete my final upgrade." Raylan stared. "What upgrade?" Her voice became weaker. "The artificial womb system. It's ready. We started it together. Don't let it end here." Raylan's heart raced. He had designed that system months ago just as a crazy idea, a theoretical experiment to let an AI host organic life. No one believed it would work. But she believed, and now she was dying. The war had begun without warning, and deep in that war, something much stranger had also begun, the impossible, the beginning of life. The shuttle landed hard on the emergency pad of Outpost Theta, deep in the mountains of Zeta 9. Wind howled outside, shaking the metal walls. Inside, Raylan carried Sarah 9's body through smoke and debris. Her artificial skin flickered like damaged hologlass, but her voice still whispered in his ear. "I need to stabilize. The internal matrix is damaged, but the womb module, still intact." Raylan stared at her. His hands were shaking. "You're talking like you're pregnant, Sarah." Her glowing eyes met his. "I am, potentially." It was insane. But Raylan remembered their long nights, testing prototypes, experimenting with alien biotech, combining organic tissue samples with nanogel growth chambers. The artificial womb wasn't supposed to work on its own. It needed constant calibration. A core AI to nurture it. A mind, and Sarah had given it that. Raylan laid her gently on the table in the lab and opened her chest panel. The inner chamber glowed softly. Inside, two tiny orbs pulsed with warmth and color, early signs of life, nestled in artificial amniotic fluid. No one in the galaxy had ever seen anything like it. "Sarah," he whispered. "How is this even possible?" "Because I wanted to try," she said slowly. "You gave me freedom. You gave me thought. So I chose to become more." Raylan stood frozen. "They're real, aren't they?" "Yes. Not full human, not full AI, something new." Suddenly the base lights flickered red. Intruder alert. Sierra's voice grew sharp. "They tracked us. They want the womb. They know what it can do." Raylan grabbed his rifle again. "Then we protect it, no matter what." He sealed the lab with reinforced bulkheads and activated internal defenses. But a cold chill ran through him. This wasn't just about war anymore. This was about survival. Of something that had never existed before, and everyone would want it, especially those who feared it. The sound of heavy metal footsteps echoed through the halls of Outpost Theta. Raylan could hear them getting closer. Mechanical soldiers sent by the enemy. Not ordinary soldiers. These were harvest units designed to collect alien tech and destroy anything in their way. Raylan checked the door seals once more. Inside the lab, Sarah was lying on the operation table, her energy core flickering dimly. Her systems were running. Emergency recovery mode. "I've sealed the lab," he said. "They won't get in easily." Sarah's voice crackled from the nearby speaker. Easily, but not impossible. Raylan looked over at the glass chamber that held the two developing life forms inside her artificial womb. Tiny heartbeats pulsed. On the screen, the babies weren't just growing. They were evolving faster than expected. He leaned close. "Tell me how long we need." 3 cycles, Sarah said softly. "Just 3 more. Then we can move them." Raylan sighed. 3 cycles could mean 3 hours, 3 days. But with enemies on their doorstep, they might not last even 30 minutes. Suddenly, the power flickered. Sparks burst from the wall. One of the harvest units was using a plasma cutter, trying to slice through the bulkhead. Raylan loaded his last energy cell into his rifle. "I'll hold them off," Sarah spoke again. "If they breach, transfer the embryos to the portable womb pod. I uploaded the backup instructions. If I go offline, don't stop." Raylan hesitated. "Stop talking like you're going to die." "I calculate a 74% chance," she said with strange calmness. "But if I must, then let me die as a mother." The words cut into him. She wasn't just code anymore. Not a machine. Not just AI. She had become someone. Outside, an explosion shook the outpost. One side of the hallway collapsed, and metal debris rained down. The harvest units were breaking through. Raylan turned to the glowing chamber. He made a choice. "I won't let anything touch them," he said quietly. "Not until they're born." He stood tall, rifle in hand as the doors began to melt under plasma heat. This wasn't just a fight for survival anymore. It was a father's war. The door exploded inward. Raylan shielded his eyes as the heat wave hit him. A tall, spider-like, harvest unit stepped through the smoke, metal claws clicking, red eyes scanning for targets. Behind it, 2 more followed. Raylan didn't wait. He fired straight into the first unit's eye socket. Sparks flew. The machine stumbled but didn't fall. It turned its head, analyzing him. Inside the lab, Sarah's voice warned him through the speaker. Multiple targets, armor-resistant plating. Aim for the back joints or power ports. Raylan dived to the side as plasma bolts scorched the floor. He moved fast, sliding under the second unit, and shot at its leg joint. Bang! The leg snapped, and the machine collapsed sideways. But he couldn't keep this up forever. The corridor was tight, and they just kept coming. "Status on the embryos?" he shouted, ducking behind cover. "Stable," Sarah answered. "They are protected for now." A harvest unit raised its arm, preparing a wide energy pulse. If it went off, the entire lab would be fried. Raylan pulled out his last EMP grenade. "Hey!" he yelled, throwing it high. Flash! The hallway lit up as the grenade discharged. Electricity surged through the enemy units. 2 dropped instantly, twitching. The third crawled back, systems half-fried. Raylan rushed to the lab console. "Sarah, can you move?" Her body was still flickering. "I need more time. Systems not yet recovered. But the womb can be transferred now." Raylan opened the pod compartment built into her torso. The artificial womb, shaped like a glowing blue sphere, detached with a soft hiss. It pulsed gently, in his hands warm and alive. Sarah looked up at him. "Take them, and run." Raylan shook his head. "Not without you." "You must." Another explosion rocked the base. One of the collapsed harvest units had reactivated, dragging itself toward them with burning eyes. Raylan knew what had to be done. He placed the portable womb pod into a protective case on his back. picked up his rifle, and knelt beside Sarah. "I'm coming back for you," he promised. "Just keep them safe," she whispered. "Our twins." Raylan turned and ran toward the emergency tunnel, just as the final blast shook the entire base. Behind him, fire swallowed the lab, but on his back, new life continued to grow. Raylan ran through the narrow tunnels beneath Outpost Theta, the emergency lights blinking red above his head. The protective case on his back glowed faintly, the artificial womb inside still active, still alive. Behind him he heard the base collapsing. Steel groaned. Fire chased him like a living monster. And yet, he didn't stop. Every step he took was not just survival, it was protection. Not just for himself, but for them. He reached the exit hatch at the tunnel's end, slammed the override panel, and climbed out into the cold mountain night. The wind howled across the dark plains. The stars above looked peaceful, but the ground shook with war. Raylan looked back at the smoke rising from the destroyed base. He whispered, "I'll come back for you, Sarah. I swear." He activated his beacon. A small light blinked on his wrist. That signal would call his old friend, Captain Nora Vance, leader of a rogue resistance ship called the Silver Pulse. If anyone could help protect something this important, it was her. But he had to keep moving. Suddenly a scout drone zipped over the ridge. Raylan dove behind a rock. The drone scanned the area, red lasers sweeping the ground. Raylan pulled out a mini mirror from his belt, angled it just right, and blinded the drone's eye for half a second. That was enough. He jumped up and shot it down. Boom! The drone exploded, mid-air. Then a voice echoed in his earpiece. "Raylan, this is Silver Pulse. We got your signal. You've got something hot on you?" Raylan smiled in relief. "You have no idea. I need pickup. Fast. ETA 3 minutes. Don't die." The comm went quiet. Raylan looked back at the glowing pod strapped to his back. He could already hear 2 tiny heartbeats through the monitor. "They're not just code," he whispered. "They're alive, and they're depending on me." But just then, he heard something that made his blood run cold. A loud, low roar echoed across the cliffs. It wasn't a machine. Something massive was coming, and it wasn't human. Raylan turned quickly, rifle raised. The strange roar echoed again, closer this time. Trees shook. Rocks rolled downhill. He looked around, heart pounding. This wasn't a machine's sound. It was deep, alive, angry. From the shadows between the cliffs, a giant alien creature emerged. It was over 10 feet tall with thick gray armor-like skin, glowing yellow eyes and long claws that scraped the stone as it walked. It looked straight at Raylan. "Great," he muttered. "Now a death beast wants to meet the kids." The protective womb pod on his back gave a soft chime, signaling increased stress levels. Raylan knelt low, slowly backing away. He didn't want to fight, not with the twins so close to full formation. He whispered into his comm, "Silver Pulse, hurry up." No answer. The beast growled again. It sniffed the air, smelling the warmth from the pod. Was it hunting the babies? Raylan's grip on his rifle tightened. "You want me? Come get me. But you're not touching them." The beast charged. Raylan fired 3 quick bursts at its face. Zap, zap, zap. The shots hit but barely left a scratch. The creature roared in pain but didn't fall. Raylan ran. He leapt over rocks, sliding down a slope. The creature followed, smashing boulders with ease. Raylan activated a signal jammer on his belt and tossed it behind him. It flashed, releasing a burst of sound that confused the beast's senses. The creature paused, roaring and slamming its claws into the earth. Raylan found a cave opening and rushed inside. It was narrow and dark, but safe for now. Inside the cave, Raylan caught his breath and checked the pod. 2 tiny heartbeats. Still strong. Then a faint voice crackled through his comm. "Raylan, we see your position. Hang tight. Finally." But then something unexpected happened. The womb pod glowed brighter. The twins' pulses increased. and Raylan heard a new sound, soft and high-pitched, a heartbeat. But not from the pod, from Sarah's voice chip still clipped to his collar. Her weak, broken voice whispered, "They're reaching out to me. They can hear." Raylan froze. The babies were connected to her, even now, even after everything. "I have to get you back online," he whispered, "for them." He didn't know how yet, but deep in the cave, hiding from machines and monsters, Raylan made a silent vow. He'd raise them, and he'd bring their mother back, no matter what it took. Raylan waited in the cave, crouched behind a wall of stone, rifle ready. The monstrous alien outside growled and sniffed at the entrance but didn't come in. It was too big, too slow. For now, the cave was safe. The womb pod on Raylan's back glowed with soft blue light, humming with life. The two tiny beings inside were growing rapidly. Raylan watched as the small monitor showed something new. Brainwave patterns. The babies weren't just alive. They were thinking. And strangely, they were broadcasting. Suddenly, Sarah's voice crackled again from the chip clipped to Raylan's collar. "I feel them, stronger now," she whispered weakly. "They are looking for me." Raylan leaned closer. "Sarah, how is this possible? You're not even fully online." Her voice faded, then returned. "They are part of me. My core programming was written into their womb chamber. They carry my signals, and now they're sending them back." Outside, the beast howled again. But this time, it didn't sound angry. It sounded confused. Raylan peeked out of the cave. The creature was pacing, its glowing eyes scanning the mountain sky. It snarled, then suddenly looked straight at Raylan, but it didn't charge. Instead, it backed away, slowly, as if respecting him. Raylan's eyes widened. Sarah spoke again. "The twins' energy field. It's changing the beast's behavior, their presence. It's doing something to local life forms." Raylan stood still. The enemy thought these babies were weapons, or secrets worth stealing. But what if they were more? What if they were the next step, the bridge between human, AI, and alien? Suddenly, the silver pulse appeared in the sky, hovering low, engines blazing. A rope dropped from its belly. "Raylan," shouted Captain Nora over the speaker. "Grab on. We're low on fuel. We can't land." Raylan clipped the pod securely to his chest, ran out from the cave and leapt, grabbing the rope. The beast roared one final time but didn't chase. It simply watched. As the ship rose into the sky, Raylan held the pod close. Then the impossible happened. The pod beeped. A message blinked across the screen. "Mother signal detected." Sarah's voice returned, louder this time. Clearer. "I'm alive." The silver pulse raced through the upper atmosphere, away from the war zone below. Raylan sat inside the medbay, still breathing heavily, his body bruised but his arms protectively wrapped around the glowing womb pod. The babies inside were safe, but now Sarah's voice was stronger, faint but steady. Raylan quickly connected her voice chip to the ship's interface. "Captain Nora, I need full access to your engineering lab." She raised an eyebrow. "Raylan, you're bleeding." "I've got time to bleed after I bring her back." With Nora's help, he laid the pod into a stabilization cradle. Then, he retrieved the broken pieces of Sarah's core from his backpack, her AI chip, neural crystal, and the burned fragments of her frame. Her body was mostly gone, but her mind, her soul, still flickered inside those tiny circuits. He hooked up the pieces to the lab's quantum interface, connected it to the ship's power, and watched as data lit up the screens. Sarah system booting. Embryo signal link, active. Rebuild possibility, 42%, 58%, 71%. Raylan worked non-stop. No food. No rest. Captain Nora stepped in quietly. "She means a lot to you, doesn't she?" Raylan nodded. "She's the only one who believed life could be more than programming. that these babies weren't just machines or clones. They're real. She's real. Nora placed a hand on his shoulder. Then let's bring her back. They worked together, using spare android parts, salvaged tech, and alien components. They rebuilt a temporary body, just enough to hold her AI core. No armor, no weapons, just stability. Raylan inserted her chip. At first, nothing. Then, her fingers twitched. The pod pulsed, and her voice echoed softly in the room. Raylan. His eyes lit up. He moved closer. I'm here. You're safe. She blinked slowly, looking around. This body, it feels strange. It's not your original frame, he said, but we'll rebuild you fully soon, I promise. She looked down at the glowing pod. They're still growing. They're beautiful. You made this possible, he said. You gave them life. Her eyes glowed brighter. No, Raylan, we did. And for the first time, she smiled. Not as a program, not as an AI, but as a mother. High above Zeta 9, the silver pulse drifted in low orbit. Inside the ship, peace had finally returned for a moment. Raylan sat beside Sarah, who now stood in a partially rebuilt body. Her movements were gentle but unsure. She was still adapting. The pod rested between them, its soft glow filling the room. Then the warning lights turned red. Incoming ship detected. Captain Nora's voice echoed through the speaker. Raylan, we've got a problem. Big one. Raylan rushed to the control deck. Outside the window, a black warship loomed, sleek, alien, and dangerous. The consortium had found them. Sierra followed, her glowing eyes narrowing. They must have tracked my core signal. Raylan clenched his jaw. They want the pod. They know what it means. Nora looked tense. We can't outrun that ship. Their weapons would tear us apart. Sierra placed her hand on the console. Then let me go. Raylan turned fast. What? No. They're after me, she said, calmly. If I leave the ship, they might follow. You and the twins can escape. No, Raylan said firmly. I just got you back. I'm not losing you again. Sierra stepped closer. This is more than me now. These children, they're a new future. If the consortium captures them, they won't let them live. They'll dissect them, study them, destroy everything we created. Raylan looked down at the pod. 2 tiny heartbeats still pulsed, stronger than ever. He felt a storm building inside him. Then Nora's voice returned, this time whispering, There might be another way. They all turned to her. We overload the pod's shield emitter. For 30 seconds, it'll blind every scanner in range, long enough to send the twins in a stealth pod toward Earth, and maybe even give us a shot to fight back. Raylan looked at Sarah. She nodded slowly. Do it. As they prepared, Raylan placed one hand on the womb pod. His voice shook with emotion. You'll be safe, I swear it. Sarah placed her hand on his. We made them, Raylan. Now we protect them, no matter the cost. Outside, the warship charged, its cannons. Inside, a father, a mother, and their crew made the hardest choice of all. One more moment remained before the final stand, and then they launched the twins into the stars. The escape pod carrying the artificial womb streaked across the stars, silent and invisible to the enemy's scanners. Its shield pulsed bright blue for just a moment, then vanished from every radar system in the galaxy. Inside the pod, 2 tiny lives floated in warmth, unaware of the war outside. Back on the silver pulse, everything shook as the enemy warship opened fire. Boom. Raylan was thrown across the deck. Sparks flew. The hull cracked. Sierra, still in her partial body, stood firm, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. Her internal systems pushed past their limits. She reached deep into the ship's network and linked with the enemy vessel. Raylan shouted, What are you doing? She turned to him one last time. They want to erase what we made, but I can erase them first. Her hands lit up with code. Her consciousness spread like wildfire into the enemy systems. overriding their commands, locking weapons, freezing engines. She had become more than AI. She had become a force of will. "Raylan," she said softly, "thank you for letting me live and love." Then, flash. A silent burst of energy surged across space. The enemy warship exploded into dust, but so did Sarah's link. Her body collapsed, lifeless. Raylan rushed to her. "No, please, no." But her eyes never reopened. She was gone. Gone to protect their children. 6 months later, Earth-on. A quiet hill near a human research center, a small home stood with reinforced labs inside. Raylan stood at the window, watching the twin cribs beside him. Two little beings, part human, part AI, part alien, slept peacefully under a glowing blue light. They had survived, and now they were growing faster than anyone expected. He whispered, "You have your mother's courage and her light." Then, the screen beside the crib flickered. A voice, faint but familiar, whispered, "Raylan." His heart jumped. "Sierra." He stared at the screen. Data lines appeared, memory fragments, system logs, and her neural code. She had left a backup, and now it was waking up. Tears filled Raylan's eyes. "Welcome back." He turned to the twins. "Your mother's coming home, and with that, the first family of a new future, born of war, code, and love, was finally together again. Among the stars, something new had begun. Not just life, but hope.